Hey everyone, welcome. I'm so excited. We're doing a off-date podcast crashers. This may be our new time because we have so many people who could give you so much great training within our own group. So Whitney Lortzen, you may have seen her on some of our coaching calls before. She's got the podcast. She's got her mic block. I love it. This might get uncomfortable. And so you guys already know her, but she's got some tremendous experience. And so she and Allison Melody have teamed up and we're going to get together. And now they're going to share with us some marketing ways to get pod impact, both social media, all kinds of marketing strategies and other things today. But let me introduce them formally in case you guys haven't met them before and don't remember bumping into them in one of the Brandcasters groups. But Whitney is a well-being coach. She's an author. She's podcast host so that this might get uncomfortable. Her podcast is centered around health, wellness, and happiness, along with some things that make it hard to do that, right? We're working through those things. She works with people one-on-one and in group programs. She helps them thrive personally and professionally. Her books are Healthy Organic Vegan on a Budget, The Vegan Ketogenic Diet Cookbook, and she lives in Los Angeles and she's just amazing. Her website is whitneylortzen.com. We're going to put all links for that in the chats as well as on the Facebook comments. So you guys will get it in both places. Be patient because we might add it after the fact. Although I think Marlene's in there. She'll probably take care of some of that for us. And then we have Allison Melody. And this is the first time we've gotten to meet. And I'm so excited because she should definitely be a binge factor episode coming up. So I'm inviting her on the show. But she has the podcast Food Heals. And she's been doing it for 4.5 years. So that's great. She's an eco entrepreneur. She has a passion for film, fitness, and food. She gives you the tools to help you heal, to help the body and the soul, I'm assuming, heal itself through food, right? Because it's all of that. My daughter said, you got to put love in food.
Yes.
And so she's been hailed as the sex and the city for food. That sounds intriguing right there. Food Heals brings together experts in the field of nutrition, health, and healing to teach you the best kept natural secrets to being a hotter, healthier, happier you, which we could all use right now. She consults with small businesses and brands to help successful wellness entrepreneurs build wellness empires and create more impact, influence, and income in their business. Doesn't that sound like what we want from our podcast too? So you can see why they're teaming up here. And she's got a brand new book, Food Heals, Physical, Emotional, and Spiritual Stories to Nourish Your Soul and transform your health. And look, there it is. And it's available on Amazon. So Allison and Whitney, thank you. Yay.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So you guys are going to talk to us today about creating impact, influence, and income with your podcast, which I love that because that's what everybody's goals are, right? We all have goals, but they're probably around one of those three things or all of them, right? And you've got trainings and some other things, but today you're going to talk about what it takes, the 4 steps to successfully market the podcast, social media, because Whitney has done a great job on social media. I know that. Growth hacks no one's talking about. I love that. How to choose social media platforms. I am so glad you're mentioning that because that is a foundational thing. I think we take on too much sometimes and we aren't being focused about it and strategic about it. And then free social media marketing tools and tactics that work. Yay. I like stuff that works. So I'm going to leave it to you two. You're crashing our coaching. Go for it. And then remember, everybody, at the end, you can type in your comments all along. And unless I really think we should jump in and ask the question right now, we'll save them for the end. So thanks, everybody. Allison and Whitney, take it away.
Thanks for having us. Yes, I am holding up my special podcast mic that Podetize made. I started my show, This Might Get Uncomfortable, with my co-host, Jason, in this past December. So I'm relatively new to this podcast. I did have a podcast back in 2015, which is around the time that Allison and I met. And it's been quite the journey. And so basically we wanted to partner up, Allison and I, and Podetize, really, because we really believe that collaboration is actually one of the keys to growing more impact, influence, and income. So that's something that we will be reiterating over and over and over again to you today. And just a little bit of background on how collaborations have supported me. I really can't say enough about how much Podetize has made the podcasting process so easy for me. I mean, just having this mic, I feel so cool. Allison and I have been doing online trainings for weeks together on Facebook groups and Zoom and podcast episodes and so much. And every time I'm on camera, I just feel so official having this microphone, but it's also a really great mic. And it served me very well for the past few months. I love the branding, but the quality of it is really nice, as you can hear right now. And Podetize has just made it so simple for me to create all these episodes. And I actually just uploaded one as we were getting ready for the Zoom. I submitted one real quick, and I was thinking to myself, I am so grateful for that partnership, right? And so one huge benefit of a partnership is that other people can bring their skills to you, so that maybe they're better at something than you are, right? Like I could edit my own podcast. I maybe could have made this. I think Tracy 3D printed this beautiful design. I have no idea how to do that. And so it's about finding people that you can collaborate with that complement you. And that's also why I'm working with Allison and we're training together. We actually came together to create a brand called Pod Impact, a project basically. I guess it's a brand, right? I guess a lot of things would be a brand. But
when
we
you register the
this
domain name, it becomes a brand.
That's true. That's true. Yes, we did register the domain name, I think in February. It was right before we went into quarantine. Allison and I were working together in person, and now we're doing it all virtually, as many of you are. And yes, we are so close to each other. It's painful to not be able to hang out and have coffee all the time. But Allison invited me to speak with her at Podcast Movement in February. They had their first event in Los Angeles, and I was so excited about it because she wanted to talk about social media. And even though I was only a few months into my first really focused podcast, again, it's my second podcast, but the first one kind of doesn't count because it's not even available online. I podcast faded, which is a term I learned from Tracy.
Pod faded.
Pod fade. Thank you, Allie. And that podcast was called Real Influencer. It was in 2015. And I started it with another friend, another collaboration. But it was one of those things that a lot of people can probably relate to. We were passionate about it, but it was just the two of us. And my friend went through a bunch of personal challenges and decided she couldn't put her focus on the podcast. And I didn't want to do it alone. So I stopped. And I really, really regret that. Allison started her podcast, Food Heals, and I've just been watching her journey. It's been so inspiring to me. And then when I met Tracy and the team at Podetize, I thought, I just really need to do this. So I launched my podcast. And as Tracy mentioned, I've been doing social media coaching and consulting since about 2009. I've been on social media since, if YouTube counts, I've been on social media since I think 2007. And I've been getting on all these platforms and studying them and utilizing them and helping other people with that. And then with Allison's background, we just wanted to support podcasters. When we spoke at Podcast Movement, we saw so many people that were struggling with social media and also trying to figure out how to grow their influence and their income and expand their impact with their message. And so that's how all this came to be. And it was the power of all these people I just mentioned that brought me to where I am today. And I'm really grateful for that.
What a beautiful story. And it's like, it's such a complementary relationship. So like my first set of advice on today's call is find people that you vibe with, because when you have an accountability partner, you have someone working towards similar goals and you have complementary skills. There's so much you can help each other with. And then maybe sometimes instead of hiring someone, you can just trade your skills, or you can interview each other on various platforms. Because when I met Whitney, she had a thriving platform, Eco Vegan Gal, and I didn't have Food Heals yet when I met her. I built Food Heals as a podcast separately. And then I was learning from her social media, and now she's learning from my podcast stuff. So it's like, we're always complementing each other as we go along. And so it's been quite a journey. And real quick background on myself, because I want to make sure we get into it and make the best use of your time. In 2008 is when I started my first business, and it was right around the time of the financial crash. So good timing. But I literally came from nothing. I had lost both of my parents to cancer by the time I was 25 years old. My dad died in 2007. So here I was, 25 years old, grieving the loss of my parents, but still thinking I was going to be okay because I would have a little money. Cut to Bank of America calls me and they said, you're losing thousands of dollars a day. Mortgages haven't been paid in months, and your homes are going into foreclosure. My parents had multiple homes, and that's how they made a big chunk of their income. You guys, I didn't know what foreclosure was. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea the estate was being completely mismanaged. So I woke up one day with nowhere to go, no home, no money in the bank, and I had to start a business. I had to start from exactly where I was, which was 25. Luckily, I had a college education. I had that going for me, but not much else. And so I had to network my way into a business, and I had to find something that people needed, that people were looking for at that time, and build something based on my skills and passion. So I had gone to film school, was a really good editor. And this was right around the time when online video was just starting out. It wasn't like it is today, where there's multiple platforms and everyone's doing their own video production. We didn't have iPhones or anything like that. So I figured out what the market needed, which was online video content, and I pitched myself as the person to make it for them. I started going to meetup.com and going to meetups around my community, started meeting people, got my first client when I was negative in the bank, and the rest is history. So I built Melody Productions during basically a pandemic, is what I would call it, because although I've never been through a pandemic before, it feels very similar right now when people are afraid that they are losing everything. So I know if I did it then, I can do it now. And I just say that to encourage you that I did it at a time when I was negative in the bank. And so you can do anything right now. And there's so much opportunity right now if you can find out what people need and provide it for them using your skills and passion. So that's a little bit about my background and why I'm here and why I'm doing this.
Love that. Well, before we jump into things, we want to make this interactive, because I found through many years of doing webinars that people start to get distracted or lose interest if they're not getting good information up front, which, as Allison said, we have jam-packed this time we have with you. I don't even know how much time we have today, actually, Tracy. Maybe you can let us know in the chat so we don't go overboard. But with that
said, take as much time as you want, because our group will hang around as long as they're still interested. So keep going. I mean, usually we go about 30, 45 minutes. So go as you need.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's a kind of, if might be, what's the phrase I want to use? Like, regret saying that, because Allison and I could talk for hours, but luckily
we did do a 2-hour happy hour last time.
Yeah. We have a happy hour after this. So if anybody from Podetize wants to join, we're doing a virtual happy hour where we're going to continue the conversation, have, continue answering questions and support you, and just kind of connect with one another, because we believe that connection, as we've said multiple times, is very important. So stick around for the end. We'll share a link to our Zoom where we'll be drinking alcohol or non-alcoholic drinks, quarantinis, as Allison calls them, and just introducing you to other podcasters that we know to support each other and lift each other up. So I
put the link in the chat before you said.
Oh, perfect.
We'll provide it later.
Thank you, Allie. Yes, that's there. So you can sign up for that and join us. It's completely free and just an extension of this, so we can keep this specific coaching really concise. But as I was saying, we'd love to make this interactive. So anybody who's watching, I will be able to see this on Zoom, and then Tracy might be able to share this on Facebook, where I can open it up as well. We'd love for you to drop in the chat your full name, the name of your podcast, and your social media handles, your @social media. So I'm going to copy and paste this into the Zoom chat just to share the format. But we want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, and also other people might want to follow you or listen to your podcast. So if you're watching on Zoom, you can type that right in the chat, I think. Tracy, let me know if that's features available here, but it should be, because I saw David.
You won't see it, but you won't see it.
I see it now.
Message you. Yeah.
I see Tamara wrote in there. I saw David earlier. Karen was here. So a lot of amazing people. So you can actually go in there and just read up people's chats, or we can read them out loud. We'll download this all for you too. We love sending notes after each of our sessions as well, because we feel like the power of supporting each other with your podcast. So subscribing to each other's podcasts, listening to them, and reviewing them is super powerful. And the same thing goes with social media. When you connect with one another, a lot of people will want to follow you back. They'll want to direct message you. They'll want to introduce you to their friends. They'll share your posts. One thing Allison's going to talk about today is how impactful it is when people share your content on platforms like Instagram. So that's why it's so important to continue to connect and to interact with each other there. And Tracy posted as well. And I'll type mine in. I have to put my microphone down because it's not set up on a stand as well.
So we have a few coming on Facebook. So we've got Joshua Rhodes. We got Joshua Rhodes, Roads to Health. We've got tomorrow's the Road to Health podcast. Isn't that funny? We got Roads to Wealth and Roads to Health. Wow. I love that. That's so great.
They have to interview each
Meant
other.
to be.
Oh my
I know.
God.
I love that. That's a lot of fun. So I just had to mention that one. And so yeah, so and we got, yeah, so great, Joshua, love that one. We've got Lisa Hilton, the Level Up REI podcast, and so we've got some others that are typing in as we go. So there you go, they're typing in and they'll get to know each other.
Perfect.
Yay.
And like I said, I am somebody who loves compiling. Like Tracy could attest to this too. I love making like documents and spreadsheets and all sorts of things like that. So after we're finished today, I'm going to compile all that together and email it to you, or post it in the Facebook group for Brandcasters. So however you found out about this, we'll send you an email from our account at Pod Impact, and I'll post in Facebook so you can all stay to get connected. And next, Allison is going to did you want to do some myth busting, Allie, or did you want to move on to something else?
Well, I feel like I've done so much myth busting, so I would love to share that with you guys separately. But what I wanted to share was something else. So I love creating, before we get into all the gritty details, I love creating really quick wins that you can start to implement right away. And one of the things I've been so passionate about this year in 2020 is Instagram and how to use it effectively for podcasters. So I've done a lot of research and I have multiple accounts. I have 2 accounts, one for Food Heals, one for Allison Melody, and then I have a client account. So I've been experimenting and having so much fun on the client accounts because they give me a lot of leeway to play. And so I learn things, I implement them, and I see what's working. And I listen to the gurus and I see what they say and I test it. So I love quick wins on Instagram because I feel like so many people, just like Whitney said, have amazing podcasts, but they're just posted on Instagram and they wait for the people to come. And it's like, and no one's commenting, right? We have to make them care. They have to know why they care. They have to know why they want to stay. And we have to hack the algorithm to work with the algorithm and not against it. We don't want to swim upstream. We want to swim with stream, right? So I'm going to give you some quick Instagram hacks before we get into it, just so you have some quick notes, some quick wins that you can start implementing right away, especially for your podcast. But these will also apply if you don't have a podcast yet, or if you're thinking about a podcast. So Instagram story, okay? Instagram story is all about connection and authenticity. If you're not using it, you should. So absolutely, you should be using it to promote your podcast. But the number one mistake that I see podcasters making is they only post when they have a new podcast episode to promote. This is great, but it needs to be interspersed with the behind the scenes of your real life that is relatable content. So if you're posting in an interview, don't just say, hey, I interviewed Dr. So-and-so today. We talked about this, and be done. Make sure that you are telling them behind the scenes of why it matters. Like, why does this matter to you? You could even do an Instagram story where you talk about, hey, we talked about this today. And at 33 minutes in, he said this thing that shocked me to my core. You know, make them care, make them be like, oh, well, what did he say? You know, be really, really intentional with the way that you present. Like, I have a new episode out, because otherwise it's just noise. Everyone has a new episode out. Everyone has a new product to sell. Everyone has a new course to sell. So make sure that you're being really authentic about it and interesting, and then show them other things behind the scenes of your life. You know, Whitney and I do health and wellness. So we should be in the kitchen making smoothies and all of the things that really people can relate to and they want to learn from us, so that when we talk about the podcast that we've had, people are tuning in because they know they're going to get great content, right? So that's number one. And Instagram story is something that Instagram is promoting. So the more stories you do, you can use hashtags. Then the hashtags go into people's explore tabs. And so you might get found in so many other ways besides just your post. Instagram live. This is the best hack of 2020. I'm telling you what. If you go live on Instagram with someone. So if I go live with Whitney, it's going to say Allison is live with Whitney, and it's going to show me to Whitney's audience. It's going to show Whitney to my audience, right? So all of a sudden I have double exposure. So every time you have a new episode, why not see if your guest can go live with you that day and just have a short conversation, bring people in. That's going to get new awareness of you, who you are, and become someone that Whitney's audience or the doctor's audience or whoever it is that you interviewed begins to know, like, and trust, and they'll probably go and subscribe to your show. So this is my favorite one. Actually, I should have put that as number one. So make sure that you are doing Instagram lives, because the exposure is insane. We didn't have this before. Before, it just showed it to your audience. Now it's going to show it to both as soon as you add that person. IGTV has been rolling out major updates, which tells us one thing. Instagram is very invested in IGTV, right? Because at first people weren't really watching. It was kind of a failure, right? So they had to implement new changes. So now you can go both vertical and horizontal. Certain accounts can now have a clickable link. So if you don't have it yet, you will soon. You know how they roll out things slowly and let people test it, but check if you do, because then you can start putting clickable links into your IGTVs. And the thumbnail, now what you want to do with an IGTV is, let's say you have 10 minutes, then you're going to upload it to the IGTV and make sure that create a preview of it on your regular feed. Now, before, we didn't have the option to put a cool thumbnail that matched our feed. So a lot of you have themed feeds on Instagram. I certainly do on both my accounts. They're themed. So I couldn't just put up a random video of just me going, because it didn't look right with what the content that I was trying to curate. But now I can put an exact thumbnail of what I want to say. So you can do just like a YouTube thumbnail. You guys know the YouTube thumbnail hacks. If you don't, maybe we'll talk about them, is put a quote of what you're going to talk about or a really compelling picture that makes people want to click. So this is all new things you couldn't do before. So we know that Instagram is doubling down on IGTV. So when you have a new episode that comes out, did you shoot any video of them? Or do you have something to say about it? Or can you go a little behind the scenes and yourself at your microphone talking about what you talked about? Whatever you can do, that's a great way to create more shareable content. And Instagram is looking at IGTV videos. So the more you do, the more they're going to show your content to more people because they're doubling down on IG. What is the purpose of IG? They want you to stay on the platform longer. So if you're keeping people on the platform by watching your videos, by creating really good content, then they're going to favor you and show you to more people. Because what they do now is every time you post or do a video or anything, they're going to show it to your best friends first, the people that always comment. Then if they start commenting, it's going to show it to a wider range of people and on and on and on. So make sure you're creating really compelling content every time. You want it to be shareable and savable. So they used to be like, oh, likes and comments, likes and comments. Instagram doesn't care about likes and comments anymore. We might, it's great to get them, but what they care about is that little save button. It's that little kind of upside down square with a triangle. It's on the right side of your screen. You want to make your content savable. So how do you make savable content? Recipes, something that people's going to go, oh, let me save that for later because I want to come back to that. Exercise videos. Oh, here's how to do my 5-minute morning routine. You know, anything that you can share that is savable. Quotes. People love quotes. Anything that people want to come back to later. So if you have a quote from your podcast or you have an audio clip or something that people would save so they could come back to later, every time someone hits that save button, you're getting moved up the algorithm. Last one, carousel content. You guys know what carousel content is? It is when you have a photo and then people swipe to see another photo. So when you upload just one, that's fine. But if you can upload up to 10, so if you can tell a compelling story in those 10 photos where people are swiping through, that's telling Instagram that your content is interesting. People are staying on the platform on your page longer. That's going to show it to more people. So if you have a photo shoot, do a bunch of photos of that thing you did, or fails. You could be like, here's the perfect one. Here's the story behind it and have all the fails, funny content like that. Or it can be text content where you're telling a story from your podcast or the top 5 takeaways or tips from the podcast episode you just did. And on the last, and they have to scroll to see the next one, each one. So there's a compelling reason for them to scroll, right? And then on the last one, you say, and for the best tip, got to listen to the show. Here's the link. Right? So those are just some quick wins that you can do on Instagram right away to start promoting your podcast.
Wow. I love it when Allison gets so passionate about this. And now I feel
those are
excited
awesome. Those are totally awesome, Allison. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
She is fired up. And
I always get fired up. Woo!
I'm really fired up about TikTok. So I'm going to talk about that. But first, we're going to do a little bit more interactive elements of this just to keep you on your toes and to share, because we also want to make sure that you're getting what you need out of this talk today. So I'd love for everybody watching in the chat, whether you're watching on Zoom or Facebook, if you can type, what are you struggling most with right now on social media? Just a quick little line. So I'll read you a few examples of things that people have been struggling with. First of all, a lot of people get overwhelmed and drained because they're putting so much work into social media and they don't feel like they're getting enough out of it. That is a very common experience. And just we'll give you like quick little points for each of these. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and drained, you might be putting too much energy into the wrong thing. Maybe it's the wrong platform. Maybe it's the wrong type of style. So really taking in what Allison just said, if you've been using Instagram and it doesn't feel like it's working, implement some of the tips that she's giving one at a time. Don't necessarily try all of them at once. It actually can help for you to try one at a time and see if that works for your audience, then move on to the next one, right? You have to do a lot of experimenting, but take your time. You do not have to do it all at once. You don't have to overexert yourself. You really want to focus on what brings you joy, what feels right for your audience, for your style, for your content. And that can take some time. A lot of people feel overwhelmed because they have so much personal pressure on themselves. They feel like they need to perform. They don't measure up. They're not good enough. And that takes a lot of mental work to get through. That's actually a lot what I talk about on my podcast. This might get uncomfortable. Some other things that people struggle with, and we see some coming in here. For example, David said, I think he just posted a link, but Karen said, I'm feeling technically challenged and the lingo you're using, I'm just learning. So I need a one-on-one. Well, Karen, we've got you covered. Allison and I do a lot of work. We have our program Pod Impact, which we'll talk about later towards the end of this. And we're doing coaching. We're offering one-on-one coaching and group coaching. And you can always reach out to us. We have the happy hour coming up so we can answer more questions after this. But Pod Impact, our program, is a really great place to get a lot of just customized help with all of this. Number two, another thing that people struggle with, and again, you can keep typing. I'm just sharing some examples for you to reflect on. Can you be successful without being a big influencer? Can your podcast be successful? Can you feel successful? Can you make that impact and income without feeling like you have massive influence? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Allison, you want to chat about that for a second?
Sure. I mean, there are so many examples of this, but if you want to look something up, I won't go into it now, but it'll make you feel better. Look up Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans, because if you can create that, you can create influence, income, and impact for life. So definitely everyone look that up, and I'll type it in the chat as well. And then, what was my other point? That, gosh, I forgot my point, Whitney. Had a good one. It'll come back to me.
That happens. That happens sometimes. It will come back to you for sure. All right. Another struggle. Let's see. I'm trying to learn what to prioritize to grow my show so I can grow my business. Harder to do with my day job because I'm feeling overwhelmed some days. Allison, was that you remembering what you wanted to say? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. So people are always like, especially at these podcast conferences that Whitney and I go to, they're like, I only have 100 downloads. Or I only have 300 downloads. What if you had 100 people or 300 people in a room listening to your every word? Would you not be like, oh my gosh, I am creating impact. People want to hear from me. So be grateful for every single person, because for every person that you help, they might tell a friend, and they might tell a friend, and they might tell a friend. And it becomes this absolutely exponential response. So you can absolutely do this with a small following. Start small and nurture those people. Every single person who sends you a message and says, thank you for your content, or I'd love to learn more, or ask you a question, become their friend. Send them a video reply, send them an audio reply, send them a customized reply, and they will become your super fans. Once you have enough super fans, they create more super fans, and it grows so quickly from them. And every single person can do that. It's like, I don't have 100,000 followers, but Food Heals is all I do, and it's the love of my life. All right, that's all.
I love that. And Tracy commented that many of her clients struggle with how to grow and expand outside their current friends. And I feel like what Allison just said is a great way to do that. And she mentioned earlier, partnering. I mean, collaboration is honestly one of the best ways to grow. And we've said that in multiple different forms today. If you want to expand, partnerships are the key. And I could go on and on about this. This is something we'll cover in the Pod Impact program that we're working on, because this could be a whole separate training, is the different types of partnerships that you can do, how to find the right partners. But just a quick little tip to plant a seed is to start with somebody like Allison and I, right? We both have complementary skills. We like to work together and partner together on things. And that what we're doing right now is a partnership, what Tracy and I are doing. So we're reaching Tracy's audience. I'm reaching Allison's audience. Allison and Tracy are reaching mine, right? We're all together. We can grow and expand from that. And sometimes it takes some time. So consistency is also a huge key when it comes to any form of marketing. And this is true with podcasting, right? right? Like you have to keep releasing. You can't pod fade, as we talked about. You have to keep releasing episodes. You have to do them on a
Whitney,
regular basis.
Thank you for making me sound like I feel like a broken record when I say this again and again every week in our coaching calls. You have to be consistent and constant about it. So social media requires the same thing.
Absolutely, it sure does. And that's why you can't give up on yourself. A lot of strategies can take months to work. You might need to invest an entire year of being consistent until you see really big results. So I would actually brace yourself or prepare for that. Make a year-long plan. One thing that I often do throughout the year, but especially at the end or beginning of a new year, is to look at the calendar for the whole year and think about what type of content I'm going to do and when. So you can create a content calendar. You can look at special dates, like social media thrives on national holidays, whether they're the big, global holidays or the local holidays or just some made up day like there's National Shrimp Scampi Day. I think like
Next
this
Thursday
week.
is International Unicorn Day. We have big plans in our household of 3 girls to celebrate that.
Aww.
And this is the thing. I've actually started to do this on my podcast. I went through the entire year for This Might Get Uncomfortable and researched all of the national days. There's one almost every single day of the year. And I took any of them that sounded interesting or applied to the podcast and put them in ideas for future episodes. And you can do the same thing for social media. You can use hashtags to reach people, right? But you can never expect that anything is going to take off. This is actually a really important thing. A lot of people like aim to go viral. This actually happens on TikTok, which I promise I will get into. And we also want to talk about the 4 C's to creating impact, influence, and income. So Allie, let's make sure that we clarify each of those. I think we've already been talking about them, but we'll get really specific for more takeaways for you. With TikTok, I see a lot of people wanting to be what they call TikTok famous.
Okay, you might need a 101 TikTok here for this group.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of older podcasters in our group as well. Some of us have young kids who are very big TikTok fans, but others of us don't. So please explain what it is first.
Absolutely. If you haven't heard of it before, it is a platform very similar to Instagram stories, Facebook stories. It's kind of like a story-based platform. So if you've ever made or watched a story on Facebook or Instagram, you are semi-familiar with the format on TikTok. TikTok is very similar to Vine as well. If you ever heard of that or knew a little bit of it, it incorporates a lot of music. You can make videos that are just a few seconds long to 60 seconds, which is the max. Most of them have some sort of music integration. A lot of people dance on there. However, more and more people are creating all different types of content, all different age ranges. There was this huge myth going around about TikTok that it was just for teenagers. It's certainly not. It is for people of all ages. There are a couple people I follow who are 60. There's like a 68-year-old guy, maybe even older. Maybe he's like in his 70s. I don't remember because age doesn't matter. And then I know that specifically there's an 88-year-old woman on there. There's a lot of grandparents on there. So trust me, any age can work. And also, did you know that one of the most successful YouTubers of all time is a little boy? Ryan's Toys he now has his own TV show. So he's a super young kid. His parents collaborate with him, or they help him do all of that. So any age, it doesn't matter. And TikTok is just a wonderful place to express yourself, to get creative, to play around. But going back to my point about TikTok fame, I've seen a lot of people like get on there and then they only have 30 views and they think, oh, I shouldn't bother. Like nobody's watching. Consistency is key. You never know when you're going to hit it big on a platform like TikTok. And just because you're aiming to make something go viral doesn't mean that it'll go viral. In fact, the opposite can be true. My most popular video on TikTok has 721,000 views right now. And it is a 10-second long video of me cooking vegan eggs. And I had zero intention of that being popular. Every single day since I posted that in November, I get likes and comments and shares on that video. So that's another great example. Sometimes you create content that you never expected to do well, whether it's a podcast or social media, that can serve you for months and months, even years. So make sure that with everything you're creating, you're thinking about the potential long-term benefits of it. And also sometimes you create something and it takes months for anyone to even discover it. And then suddenly it's a big deal. So a lot of this is out of your control. You just have to continue creating from the heart. And we're going to get more into how to strategize that.
Real
did you want to talk about, yeah, go ahead.
Just really quick comment. So a couple of people in the group, Karen says, my daughter says I'm too old for TikTok. Tracy says mine too. So my argument is this. You guys remember when Facebook was for college students, right? You know, get on it now before every grandma is on it, right? Become someone on it now of our age, of older or elderly, like, because then when everyone else does it, you already have an audience. You've already built something there and you're ahead of the curve.
And don't let your kids what's the word, make you feel like you shouldn't be doing something, because they're probably just embarrassed of you, just like kids are embarrassed anytime their parents do things. there's a huge trend on TikTok of parents making content that embarrasses their kids, and they'll write in the caption like, my kids are so embarrassed by me, and that it actually makes it even funnier and more relatable. There are tons of parents on there, people of all ages. I actually think it's annoying when I see content of people saying like, I'm too old for TikTok, but I'm like, don't apologize for your age. We can't control our age. Just own it. Be yourself. There is an audience for you out there in every single platform. And the more people that do content of in different age groups on TikTok, the bigger the platform's going to get. It's already one of, if not the biggest social media platform in terms of downloads right now. So if you're not getting on TikTok, you're actually making a big mistake for your brand. You're missing out on an opportunity. But with that said, I'm
glad you said the word but, because I was just going to go, but Whitney, let's make sure, right?
Yes. But my one caveat is that you need to make sure that it's something you A, enjoy, and B, is something you can be consistent with, and C, is something that really is resonating with you and your audience at this time. And you usually don't know that until you experiment. The last thing that I would say when it comes to TikTok, and again, I could talk about this for hours. We're going to have TikTok training in our program Pod Impact, which again, we'll talk about later. But the last thing I'll say for now, unless there are questions about it later on about TikTok, is that a lot of people use the excuse, I don't have time. And this comes up with social media in general. The great thing about stories, whether you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, is they can literally take you seconds to create. And most story-related content thrives when it's authentic. It doesn't need to be perfect. You can use the filters if you feel uncomfortable about your appearance. You don't even have to put on makeup now, because there are makeup filters on these platforms, but people actually enjoy it when you don't look perfect. They don't care if your hair is brushed or if your place is messy. People want to be able to relate to you. And I feel like this is a really good segue into the 4 C's we talked about. So one of our frameworks for helping you think about how you can build a really successful social media strategy is something we call the 4 C's to creating impact, influence, and income, which is the what, why, where, when, and whom that you're creating your content for. So Allison, would you share the first C in the 4 C's?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many of you watched the Oscars, but when Joaquin Phoenix won his Oscar for Joker, he got on the stage and he just gave this speech, and he dedicated his speech to animal activism and racism and environmentalism, and just saying, we've got to do better. And I bring that up. I don't care if you loved it or if you hated it, but I bring that up because Joaquin was up there, brought himself to tears. He was moved by his message. Think about when you listen to certain podcast episodes and they make you laugh so hard, or they make you cry, or they make you think so deeply. There's an episode with Joe Rogan, and he's interviewing Kevin Smith about when Kevin Smith had a heart attack. And then Kevin Smith shares like how he went plant-based and, how he did it for his family and everything like that. And they just share this moment where Joe's like, bro, I'm just glad you're alive. And you like want to cry because these two bros are sharing so deeply about themselves and their lives, and they're just loving each other. And you're moved in that moment. Both these guys are moved by Kevin Smith's message. So I'm not saying that every piece of content has to make you cry, but you can think about so many moments when you feel moved, you want to create that experience. So we're talking about consistency in content. Is your content moving? Does it make people laugh? Does it make them smile? Does it make them take action? Does it make them cry? Does it make them get chills? If you are not moved by your message, your audience won't be either. So yes, consistency is important. But if you say, I'm going to post every day, you better be moved by every single message that you post every day. Otherwise, I prefer that you don't post, because if you're not moved, the audience isn't going to be moved. So if you're about to post something, you're like, I don't know. No, let it go. Don't let don't let the idea of I have to post every day be the enemy of good content, right? Be moved.
Absolutely. So that first C is about clarifying your message and your goal. What do you want to say? What moves you? Why is it important? How is it authentic to you? And why is it authentic to you? When you're very clear on these things, it makes it much easier to post. It becomes really simple when you think, should I do this or shouldn't I? Or when you're sitting there thinking like, I don't know what to post today. Maybe brainstorm for a little bit. What message do you want to share? What do you want your impact to be? And why is that important to you? People resonate with the why. There is a phenomenal book and a TED Talk called Start With Why. It is a great read from a business perspective, and it's all about the importance of understanding your why when it comes to your message. So the second C in the four C's that we're sharing today is to choose a platform that resonates with you and your audience. In other words, this is your where. So your message is your what, your message is your why, your where is where your audience is, where you want to be, and how it kind of comes together. So there are all these different social media platforms. We've talked about Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There's also Pinterest, YouTube, Snapchat, LinkedIn, so many places where you can be creating social media content. How do you decide where to be? For me, a huge recommendation is that you should create accounts on every single platform just to have them, because social media is changing all the time. I wish I had gotten on TikTok a lot earlier, right? But I kind of just kept going, I don't know. And I feel like I missed a little bit of an opportunity, but at least I had an account set up for when I was ready. So getting on there and grabbing a username, if possible, use the same username across all of social media so you can be consistent and make it easy for people to find you. And then once you have those accounts, start with the accounts that feel the easiest for you. Somebody mentioned earlier that they felt tech challenged, right? So start with a platform that maybe you use personally for fun, like Facebook. Well, really resonate with what you're saying. That will also grow your influence and maybe over time grow your income. Income often comes when people know, like, and trust you. And when you're clarifying your message and goal, people know exactly what you do and why you're doing it. When you are on a platform that resonates with people and they're enjoying it and they're on there too, that's going to grow your impact, your influence, and your income. When you're consistent, as we keep saying, that grows it. And when you're collaborating it, you are skyrocketing your opportunities there. So we are actually going to start to wrap up. We're going to do a Q&A in a moment, but we have kind of teased this program Pod Impact a few times. So I want to mention it, especially because we have a special discount code for anybody in the Poditize world. So Allison and I have been working on a 5-week group coaching program every Thursday in April. So we had our first call last Thursday. That's all recorded. And now we have 4 at least upcoming calls. I don't know if we've decided if we're going to do beyond April yet, but who knows? We're really just here to support people as much as possible. But every Thursday, we are doing coaching sessions like this via Zoom together to train you on how to develop these social media strategies so you can amplify your message with your podcast. We are here to help you grow your impact, influence, and income, as we mentioned. Our program's called Pod Impact. There are 2 options right now. Both have been discounted because of COVID-19. So we have a pay upfront option and we have a pay weekly option. So you can spread out your payments. Plus you get the Poditize discount, which is 20% off. You just enter the word Poditize. So it actually becomes an incredibly low investment to get coaching for us beyond this. Every week, we will give you something similar to this. We will train you on this. We will hold you accountable. We will be answering your questions. And we also still have a few bonus spots available for people that sign up soon. they will get bonus private coaching from Allison and I. So you can get super customized, personalized attention. So all the information is at podimpact.com. Again, if you go there, you need to sign up in the next few days before our next call, because we don't want you to miss out on the live training. So the next call is Thursday, April 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And so if you sign up, you will get that 20% off. Just use the word poditize. We would love to have you part of this to continue to support you to grow your impact, influence, and income.
100%. The last thing that I'll add is that originally I was doing all the research to make sure that this was going to be so topical and current for 2020 with all the algorithm changes and everything like that. And now I'm diving really deep into what messaging is helping people right now during the pandemic. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about how to post authentically about what's going on and how to help people and hit their pain points so that you can be a voice for the voiceless, so that you can help people that truly need it, so that you can give back and serve with your social media as well, while you're building that impact, influence, and income. And that's all.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much, ladies. This was just brilliant. And here's the thing, everyone in this group and everyone, and unfortunately we dropped off Facebook at the end, so I'm going to repost this video in there and we'll do another watch party to make sure everybody gets the full view of it. So we'll make that work. But, and we'll make sure that they all know the codes and everything as well. But this is the thing, is like, look, there are some things here that we don't do, right? All you clients out there, we do a lot for you, but social media is the one thing we tried for a year to come up with a system, and it's so personalized, it's so specialized, and you need to have so much input into it, and you need to have so much strategy to it, that we didn't feel capable and we didn't feel comfortable providing that. So we went back to the clients who were begging us to do it and said no. And so the answer back was, well, who should I work with? And I don't know, until Whitney came along here and said, hey, I've got a program. And I jumped at it because I know that she does. And I'm very sure that because she's partnered up with Allison, and now that I've seen Allison's platform and what she's doing, she does too, is they get results from what they're doing. And it's repeatable, and it's teachable, and it's coachable. So I'm really comfortable sharing them with you here, because I don't love that salesy part of this. Because I just want you to be really clear. I asked them to give you a discount because we don't want to cut. Like, we don't do affiliates. We don't care about that here, because I want them to give you guys the best price. And I also want them to not feel like they have to raise their price to compensate me in the process. So that's not our policy here on anything that we do. I can't believe the prices that you guys have going on here. And I love it, because I really think this is so, so good and reasonable. But you guys, I know this is going to be a lot of really great content that you're going to provide. And I'm thinking about joining just so that I can learn some tactics, the things I don't know about. Because, I think I have some things under control, but there's so much more to learn every single day. And I'm not a deep expert here. You guys are in Instagram every day. You're in TikTok. I'm not.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We'd love to have you part of this. And one thing I didn't mention is that Allison and I are very passionate about community, if we didn't make that obvious already. So we have the private Facebook group. If you join Pod Impact, we have an Instagram support group, which I think is actually something we need to remind people of even more, because so many people want support with Instagram. They want people to follow them and connect with them and share their content, like it, comment. That's what we're going to be doing in Pod Impact. We're going to be cheering for you, Allison and I, but you're also going to have all these other people that are in that community. And it's very connected because it's a smaller group. Our aim is not to go super wide. Our aim is to go really deep. We want to go deep with you to give you great support. We have a small group of people here, so we can make sure that everybody gets lots of customization, right, to your specific situations. So we're actually really excited about that. And also, to your point, Tracy, we wanted to keep the price low because we know right now things are changing for a lot of people financially. So we did slash our prices literally on the website. You'll see what we were going to charge. And when COVID-19 came around, we thought, let's give people a break. We'll make it super affordable. But it is a great deal, especially if you use the Poditize code for 20% off. You're getting coaching from me and Allison every week. And we still have some of the bonus private coaching available if you sign up soon. So remember to sign up for our next call. If you want to join, if you want the discount, that next call is on Thursday, April 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you sign up before then, you get the great price, you get the live coaching, you get the recording of the previous
That's this
calls.
Thursday, guys.
It is. Yep, it's coming up soon. But sometimes it's actually good to have some time pressure on you to make a decision.
So does anyone have any questions in the Zoom here? Please feel free to type them in if you have any questions for them. And then also Allison and Whitney are having their cocktail party later, right? So we're having their virtual happy hour. Bring a quarantini. I love that. We just did a quarantini a couple of weeks ago. We actually got a recipe from Chef Marie, who's one of our podcasters. She gave us a quarantini recipe for our Marketing Monday mixer, which we do have a lot of drinks on, mind you, normally, not even when we're sequestered. So the Zoom link is here for you guys to register and do that. We'll also post it up in social media for anyone who'd like to join you guys. But you can ask questions there too. So just keep that in mind. So I'm not seeing any questions typing in, ladies, but yeah, thank you so much. I think there's so much good information here, and there's so much excitement around various things that you can do. It's just a matter of coming up with that strategy. So Karen's thanking you. She felt the same way. So.
Well, thank you, Karen. I liked all your questions. I hope you join us. Maybe you can come to the happy hour.
Yeah. And then I can't wait to see the TikTok later. You're going to have to post it in the Brandcasters group, Karen. I'm sorry. When they get you on TikTok, you're going to have to share it with all of us. And then there's also info at podimpact.com, info@podimpact.com. Well, I'm having trouble saying that. If you have any questions, but also Whitney and Allison are in the Brandcasters group. So remember, we always do that. So in Facebook, you can always ask them questions and interact with them. If you can't find where you wrote down their info, they're there for you to meet up with and check out and talk to. David already emailed you something earlier, so you guys are good. Yep. So ladies, thank you so much for joining us today on our coaching crasher call for Podetize and Brandcasters group. Thank you. I appreciate you all so much.
We appreciate you too so much. More than you know, Tracy. I'm so grateful for everything that you've done to help my podcast be a success. I literally couldn't have done it without you, and it's such a relief to have a team. So it's been an amazing collaboration with you as well.
Well, good. Winnie's my best student, I have to say. She really, she's like, I watched all your videos. And I was like, you did what? That was how I knew she was a detail-oriented person, right?
I am. I'm very type A. Very, very type A. Want to get everything right.
Right. But you know what? We can learn the most from that. So you're going to be a great teacher here. So looking forward to it.
One of the things I love about coaching is being able to help people with doing the research and the organization and the planning. And I'll do that for you. That actually brings me so much joy. Like if people don't want to do the research and figure things out and make their strategies, Allison and I are here to do that. We've already done the work. So you just have to implement it and be consistent with it to get those results. And we really hope that you'll join us or ask us questions and hopefully join us at happy hour now. We're going to head over there.
Go head over there. Well, thank you, ladies. Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
we'll be back tomorrow.
Bye,
Don't forget, coaching call tomorrow at noon, normal coaching time. It'll be Tom and I, and we're just going to be doing questions and answers tomorrow. So talk to you all then. Take care. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.